Hello and warm regards. Welcome to another episode of the Daily News Analysis. Today, in the Daily Current Affairs, we are going to cover the following topics. The first one is appointment of Supreme Court judges. Second is AI Kosha. Thirdly, Pashu Aushadhi initiative. Then UN IPCC. And lastly, in the editorial analysis, we are going to cover the International Women's Day. Now, without dwelling more time, let's move to the first article. The first article that we have is appointment of Supreme Court judge. The backdrop for this article is Supreme Court Collegium on Thursday recommended a Calcutta High Court Judge Justice Joymala Bagchi for appointment to the top court. Now, it is relevant from GS paper 2 and for the topic Indian polity and constitution. And a very important topic, that is judiciary, it's come under that. It is important from prelims as well as from mains point of view. Now, appointment of judges. The appointment of judges is mentioned in the constitution, the procedure how the judges will be appointed, and it is mentioned under article 124. The Supreme Court judges will be appointed by the president, and the president will appoint the Chief Justice of India as well as other Supreme Court judges in the manner prescribed by the constitution. For Chief Justice of India, the president has to consult judges from both Supreme Court and High Court, whichever number he deems fit. So he can consult 5 judges, he can consult 10 judges, or he can consult 50 judges also. So it totally depends upon the president how many judges he want to consult, but he has to consult the Supreme Court and High Court judges before appointing a Chief Justice of the country. Secondly, while appointing other judges of the Supreme Court, the president has to consult the High Court judges, Supreme Court judges, and CJI. So these have to be consulted before appointing other judges to the Supreme Court. Now, over the time, in the political scenario that the country is having, there have been political interference in the appointment of the judges, and somehow it has affected the independence of the judiciary also. So to prevent that thing, a system known as collegium system developed over the time. In the collegium system, it has been developed through various judgments of the Supreme Court. The first case was the first judge's case. It was in 1981. In this case, the Supreme Court said that the consultation in judges' appointment does not require concurrence by the president. That means the president can act against the consultation given by the judges itself. So the president is not bound by the advice given by the other judges while appointing judges to the Supreme Court. Now, this case was again challenged in the second judge's case of 1993. In this case, the Supreme Court said that the earlier judgment has to be reversed. While appointing the judges to the Supreme Court, whatever advice is given, the president has to act in the capacity of that advice. That means the advice given by the Supreme Court judges is binding upon the president. So this was the first instance when the Supreme Court's advice is binding on the president in appointment of the judges. Now, next comes is the third judge's case in 1998. In this, it was said the CJI is required to consult a collegium of 4 senior most Supreme Court judges. That means whatever advice the CJI is giving to the president, he should be consulting with 4 more judges. And the 4 judges, if they are not in concurrence with that advice, then that advice will not be shared with the president. So whatever advice is given to president, all CJI plus 4 judges should be in complete congruence. Then only the president is going to act on that advice, and that advice will be binding on the president. That means collegium system is going to recommend for the appointment of the judges, and president has to appoint those persons only which the collegium is recommended to him. Now, next is the fourth judge's case of 2014. There was a Constitutional Amendment Act of known as 99th Constitutional Amendment Act. It established a body known as NJAC, National Judiciary Accountability Commission. Now, this commission was given powers for the appointment of the judges. That means this committee is going to recommend who will be appointed to the Supreme Court and High Court. Now, in the fourth judge's case of 2014, the Supreme Court said that this NJAC and this constitutional amendment, that is 99th Constitutional Amendment, they are both unconstitutional. That means the earlier system of collegium was again established by the Supreme Court. And Supreme Court said that it is going to interfere with the independence of the judicial system. So that's why this constitutional amendment was declared null and void. So these are the 4 cases with respect to the collegium system. Now next comes is the appointment of the High Court judges also, because some way both the things are related to each other. The Article 217 provided in the Constitution provides for the appointment of the High Court judges, and High Court judges will also be appointed by the President. The CJI will be appointed by President after consultation with the Chief Justice of India and Governor of the state concerned. This is the constitutional provision that is given. Now, as per the third judge's case of 1998, the consultation here refers the advice tendered by the collegium, which comprises of Chief Justice of India and 2 senior most judges of the Supreme Court. That means Chief Justice of India plus 2 senior most judges, they are going to give recommendations for the appointment of the High Court judge. Now, next comes is what are the qualifications for being appointed as a High Court and Supreme Court judge. So there is a minor difference between two. First of all, let's compare them. Firstly is the citizenship criteria. So a person should be citizen of India in both the cases. That is very obvious, because a citizen of India can only be appointed as a judge in the country. Next is the judicial experience. For Supreme Court, the person should be at least a judge for at least 5 years in a High Court or in multiple High Courts. For High Court, the person should be in judicial office for at least 10 years. So there should be a 10-year experience in the judicial office if a person wants to get appointed as a High Court judge. For Supreme Court, there should be a 5-year experience as a judge in the High Court or in multiple High Courts if they are taken in if they are added up. Now next is advocacy experience. If there is no judicial experience, then the other condition is that the person should be having a 10-year experience as an advocate in the High Court. That means a person who either he is having a 10-year experience in a High Court as an advocate in a High Court, or he is a judge for 5 years in the High Courts, then he is eligible to be appointed as a Supreme Court judge. So this is over here. Either this condition is satisfied or this condition is satisfied. Similarly, for the High Courts, again the 10-year experience as an advocate in High Court is required as a qualification for being appointed as a High Court judge. So again there is or. Either a 10-year experience as a judicial officer or 10-year advocate in the High Court. Lastly, for Supreme Court, there is one more criteria that has been mentioned. That is, he can be a distinct jurist also in the opinion of the President. So a distinct jurist, for example, a law professor, can be appointed as a Supreme Court judge. So that condition is also eligible. So for being appointed as a Supreme Court judge, either the person should be a High Court judge for at least 5 years, or he should be an advocate in High Court for practicing for 10 years, or the person is a distinguished jurist in the eyes of the President. So if any of these 3 conditions are satisfied, the person can be appointed as a Supreme Court judge. For High Court, there is no such condition of an exceptional jurist. So only there are 2 conditions: either you are an officer, a judicial officer for 10 years, or you have practiced for 10 years in a High Court. So these are the qualification criteria for a Supreme Court and a High Court judge. Now last part is the tenure. The tenure is not fixed by the Constitution. So there is no fixed tenure for Supreme Court judge, although the upper age is fixed by the Supreme Court. So up to the age of 65, a judge can hold the office. So if a person is appointed at the age of 40 years, he can continue till 65 years. If a person is appointed at the age of 60, he can continue till 65 years. So there is no tenure for a Supreme Court judge, but the upper age limit is there. Secondly, a Supreme Court judge can resign to President and vacate his seat. Thirdly, he can also be removed by the President on the recommendation of the Parliament. And for that, a parliamentary law has been framed. Now for the High Court, again the tenure is not fixed. The upper age limit is 62 years, and he can again resign by writing to the President. Secondly, he can be removed in office by the President on recommendation of the Parliament. So Parliament has the powers to remove or to recommend for the removal of Supreme Court and the High Court judges. The State Legislative Assembly does not have those powers. Lastly, he can vacate the office if he is being appointed as a judge of the Supreme Court or he is being transferred to another high court. So these are the conditions in which the position of the high court judge remains vacant. Now you are in a position to attempt a MCQ based upon the knowledge, based upon the discussion that we have done. It is visible on your screens. Please answer the question in the comment box. Now next article we have is AI Kosh. Now it is in the backdrop of government launched the AI Kosh and India AI compute portal to boost AI innovation, research and accessibility in country. It is relevant from the GS paper 3 science and technology portion, that is indigenization of technology and developing new technologies. Now firstly we are going to discuss the India's AI mission. India's AI mission was launched in 2024 and the corpus allocated is 10,300 crore rupees for a 5-year. So it will be continuing from 2024 to 2029 with the corpus or funds that have been allocated are 10,300 crore rupees. Now what is the objective of it? The objective is establishing a PPP model aimed at nurturing India's AI innovation and ecosystem. So it is focusing on innovation ecosystem in the country to boost India's global leadership in AI. Thirdly, foster technological self-reliance and ensure ethical and responsible AI deployment. So the keywords here are, first is global leadership, then self-reliance, then ethical and responsible AI deployment, and lastly, democratization of the benefits of the AI across all stratas of the society. So these are the basic objectives of the India's AI mission. Now India's AI mission is based upon 7 pillars. These 7 pillars are India AI compute capacity, that is computing capacity को enhance करना, to enhance the computing capacity. Second, India AI datasets platform. Thirdly, India AI future skills. Then India AI safe and trusted AI. Then after that, India AI Innovation Center, then Application Development Initiative, and lastly, Startup Financing. So these are the 7 pillars of the India AI mission. I am again repeating them. First is compute capacity, second is dataset platforms, then future skills, then innovation center, then development initiative, and startup financing, and lastly, safe and trusted AI. So these are the 7 pillars based upon which our India AI mission is going to progress. Now, under this India AI mission, the first thing that we are having is India AI dataset platform. So under this pillar, we are having this AI Kosh, that is India AI dataset platform. So this is the second pillar that we are having under which this AI Kosh have been released. Now, it is launched to provide seamless access to datasets, AI models and tools. The key features include AI readiness, scoring, content discoverability, permission-based access, data encryption, secure APIs, and firewall for enhanced security. So these are the key features of the AI Kosh. AI Kosh simply means that we are having a data set which can be used by any person who is involved in AI or who is using AI. Next is India's AI compute capacity. What do you mean by compute capacity? Compute capacity simply means that we are enhancing our capacity to compute the things for the computation purposes. Now, there have been a launch, the India AI compute portal has been launched. This is under the second pillar that we are having. Now it provides discounted AI compute, that means we can access the computing facility at a discounted price so that the burden or the cost is removed from a startup or a new entrepreneur. Compute, network, storage, cloud services will be provided here to the startups. Then MSME, researchers, students, government agencies, they can access these facilities. So the facilities provided are at a discounted rate. They are AI compute, network, storage and cloud services. Now eligible AI users can receive up to 40% subsidy on cloud AI compute services. Next, it will support high-end and mid-range GPUs, global GPUs, graphic processing units, such as NVIDIA, H100, H200, A100, AMD, MI300X, Intel Gaudi 2, and AWS Titanium. So you should also be having a basic overview of these platforms as well. Now, as we have already seen that under India AI compute capacity and India AI dataset platforms, we are having some initiatives. For the other pillars, we are also having certain initiatives. Let's see them also. Then we are going to conclude the topic. The other pillars of AI mission, that is India AI future skills, that is it is focusing on skill development. So AI competency framework for public sector officials. It will equip the government officials with AI skills for policy making and implementation, and also aligning with the global best practices to enhance AI governance. Second is iGOT AI, that is personalized AI learning. AI driven content recommendation system for government officials in the iGOT Karam Yogi platform. It has also been done. Next is India AI startup financing. For that, India AI Startup Global Accreditation Program with Station F has been launched. Under this, a 4-month accelerator program in collaboration with Station F and HEC Paris 10 selected 10 Indian AI startups which will receive mentorship, networking, and market expansion opportunities in Europe. So there is hand holding for the startups as well. The next initiative that we are having is under India AI Application Development Initiative. That is, next pillar is India AI Application Development Initiative. Under this, we are having India AI Innovation Challenge. In this innovation challenge, the objective is to promote AI driven solutions in healthcare, agriculture, governance, climate change, and learning disabilities. Then next is safe and trusted AI. For that, we are having AI bias mitigation strategies, like National Institute of Technology Raipur is developing responsible AI solutions to mitigate bias in healthcare system. So these things we are having so that we can have equitable distribution of the AI resources and their benefits. Then last one is India AI Innovation Center. Its objective is to support Indian research, startups, and entrepreneurs in building India foundation models, including large multimodal models, large language models, or small language models for specific domains or applications. So the 7 pillars of the India AI mission, they are being implemented through various initiatives. Now lastly, we can conclude that the launch of AI Kosha, the AI compute portal, and other AI initiative marks the major step in democratizing AI access, fostering research driven innovation, and strengthening India's global AI leadership. The event brought together government, official researchers, industry leaders, and startups, fostering collaboration to build AI-powered future for India. Now, you are in a position to attempt the MCQ visible on your screen. Please attempt it and post your answers in the comment box. The next article that we have is Pashu Aushadhi Initiative. Now, it is important from the GS paper 3 Economics of Animal Rearing topic, and it also comes under government schemes. Now, the backdrop for the topic is that the government is going to open Pashu Aushadhi stores to provide affordable generic veterinary medicines. Now, something about this scheme. This scheme will be under the Ministry of Fisheries, Animal Husbandry and Dairy, and the objective will be to provide good quality, affordable, generic veterinary medicines so that the care of the livestock can be taken in a better manner. The funds that have been allocated for this scheme is 75 crore rupees, and it is component of the livestock health disease control program. So these are the key points that you should be able to remember. This scheme will be based upon the already modeled Pradhan Mantri Bharatiya Jan Aushadhi Kendras. There will be Pashu Aushadhi stores that will be opened across the country, and these stores will be run by the cooperative societies as well as the Pradhan Mantri Kisan Samriddhi Kendras. Along with that, the medicines that will be provided here, they will include the allopathic medicines as well as our ethno-veterinary medicines. What are these ethno-veterinary medicines? It is a traditional medicinal practices that we have been practicing since ages. So these will also be included in this Pashu Aushadhi scheme. Now, next thing is that what are livestock actually? So livestock are the domesticated animals raised in an agricultural setting in order to provide labor and produce diversified products for the consumption, such as meat, egg, wheat, fur, leather, and wool. Now, according to the 20th livestock census, which was conducted in 2019-20, in India, we have the world's largest livestock, that is 535.78 million. Secondly, We are first in the buffalo population. The population is 109.85 million. Along with that, in terms of goat population, we are at the second position with a population of 148.88 million. Along with that, we are the second largest fish producer and aquaculture nature. So these are the data according to the National Livestock Census that was conducted in 2019-20. Now next is the significance of the livestock. The livestock are very significant for us, first of all from the perspective of the economy. It contributes around 12.27 lakh crore of GVA annually. It amounts to 30.19% of the agriculture and allied sector GVA and 5.73% of the total GVA. The contribution to the farmer income is also very significant. It amounts for 16% of the income of the small farmer households. The next thing is that the other benefits that the livestock provide to us. First of all, in terms of food, then in terms of non-food, and also in terms of draft power. In terms of food, it provides for the nutritional security. High nutrition foods like milk, meat, eggs, and fish are the contributions by the livestock. In terms of non-food, we have wool, hides, pelts, dungs, which actually contribute towards the income as well as also increases our export potential. So the livestock is having an important role in domestic as well as in the export economy of the country. Lastly, the bullocks. Bullocks are being used by small farmers in plowing their field. So it is actually helping them out in their agriculture income as well. Now, livestock is important for us in multiple ways. For example, for the economy, for the nutrition security, for the export potential also. But for farmer, it becomes far more important. Why? First of all, it is a source of income. For example, during the times of stress, when the agriculture is not performing well, or for example, there is a time period of drought, when the agriculture is actually in a sluggish position, in those times, the livestock provide the source of income for the farmer. The survival is provided by the livestock. Secondly, it also provides for the employment. Thirdly, it also enhances the social security of the farmer. And along with that, it also ensures women empowerment. Because the women are mostly related to the care part of the livestock. So it also enhances women empowerment in the rural economy. Now, seeing the significance of the livestock, the government is also taking some initiatives. For example, the first one is Rashtriya Gokul Mission. In the Rashtriya Gokul Mission, the focus is on indigenous breeds. So there is conservation and development of the indigenous cattle breeds, and also there is genetic upgradation of the bovine population. So these are the two objectives of the National Gokul Mission. Next important mission is National Livestock Mission. In the National Livestock Mission, we are actually focusing on employment generation, entrepreneurship development, and increasing productivity of meat, milk, egg, and wool. So holistic development of the livestock sector. Next comes is the National Program for Dairy Development. In this, the focus will be on milk products. So enhancing milk quality, its procurement, its processing, value addition, and marketing. So the focus is on dairy products. The next initiative is the Animal Husbandry Infrastructure Development Fund. In this, investment in the livestock sector by entrepreneurs, private companies, MSMEs, and farmer producer organizations is being encouraged by the government so that the output or the output quality of the product can be improved. The next comes is the health part, Livestock Health and Disease Control Program. This we have already discussed. The initiative have been taken under this program only. So its focus will be on controlling livestock diseases and improving veterinary healthcare infrastructure. The next comes is the Livestock Census and Integrated Sample Scheme. So the census that we talked about, the data that we talked about, it is part of this initiative. So it is focusing on data collection and analysis for better livestock management and policy formulation. And last one is the Kisan Credit Card for dairy farmers so as to provide financial assistance to the dairy farmers associated with milk cooperatives and producer companies. Now with this, we have completed the topic, and now you are in a position to attempt the MCQ that is visible on your screen. Please attempt the MCQ and post your answers in the comment box. Now the next article that we have is about UN IPCC or Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. This Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change prepares crucial scientific reports for the state of climate, which informs government policies and also international climate negotiations. Now, this topic is relevant from GS paper 3, that is under Conservation, Environmental Pollution and Degradation and Environmental Impact Assessment. So, it becomes important from GS paper 3 point of view. Also, it is important from the prelims point of view. Now, why it is in news? It is in news because Jim Skia, who is the chairperson of IPCC, stated that world aspiration to limit the global warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius is still possible, but hanging by a slender thread. That means the situation is quite grave here. In 2024, the warming itself exceeded 1.5 degrees Celsius, pushing the world into a high risk zone. There have been some extreme climate events that have happened during last year, and that was due to the global warming and climate change. Then the impact can be mitigated by increasing reliance on renewable energy sources like wind and solar and enhancing adaptation strategies. So he has raised red flags that whatever we are doing, we are not doing enough, and we need to do more so that we are able to contain the global warming under 1.5 degrees Celsius limits that we have developed, that we have established for ourselves. Now, what is this IPCC? IPCC is Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. It is a UN body and it assesses climate change. It was established in 1988 by World Meteorological Organization and United Nations Environment Program. So it has been developed by collaboration of WMO and UNEP in 1988. Next is it aids in climate policy formulation. How? It do regular assessments of the climate change, its impacts, risk and mitigation. And it thus provides scientific data on climate change, which helps in climate policy formulation by various countries. It comprises of UN and WMO member governments and does not conduct independent research. It acts as a collaborative framework of the government, scientists, IPCC staff, and hundreds of experts volunteer to create reports with thousands contributing through reviews and assessment. So it is a voluntary kind of thing and it is a collaborative kind of thing. So the various volunteers, they actually work and publish their reports, give their inputs regarding the climate situation in the world. Now next, another important thing is Paris Agreement and the global climate goals. It is a legally binding international treaty adopted by 196 parties at COP21 in Paris on 12th December 2015. It has been effective from 4th December 2016. Now its objective was to keep the global temperature well within below 2 degrees Celsius with efforts to limit it to 1.5 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial level. Pre-industrial levels means whatever global temperature we were having before industrialization, we should be able to limit the global warming till 1.5 degrees Celsius more than that. For example, if the average global temperature was 15 degrees Celsius before industrial revolution, now our objective is that we should be able to keep it below 16.5 degrees Celsius. This is just an example to tell you what this statement wants to say. Now this agreement says to meet this goal, the greenhouse gases emission must peak by 2025, and after that it should decline by 43% by 2030. That means whatever emissions we are having by 2025, they should be peaking. After that there should be a decline, and the decline should be around 43% when we reach by 2030. So this is the objective of this Paris Agreement. It is the first binding agreement uniting all nations on climate action and adaptation efforts. So in terms of climate change, this is the first binding agreement. Now there are certain nationally determined contributions also. So every 5 years, every party has to tell what efforts they are taking to tackle the climate change. And there will be a global stocktake of the climate action also. Whatever every country is doing, we are going to club that. So it says it will assess the collective programs towards achieving the purpose of agreement in comprehensive and facilitative manner. IPCC assessment report will keep a track of this progress. So this was about IPCC. Now you are in a position to attempt the MCQ visible on your screen. Please attempt the MCQ and post your answers in the comment box. Now at last, it's time for the editorial analysis. The topic that we have today is the International Women's Day. Now this topic is relevant. Why? Because on 8th March we are going to celebrate the International Women's Day, and it is the 30th anniversary of the Beijing Declaration, that is Global Blueprint for Advancing Human Rights. Now this topic is relevant from the GS paper 1, Indian Society, that is Role of Women and Women Organizations. Also it is relevant from the GS paper 2, Social Justice aspect. So these are the two topics where this article can be used. Now let's come to the previous year questions that have been asked from these areas. Initially in 2023, the question was, explain why suicide among young women is increasing in Indian society. In 2019, it was the continued challenges for women in India against time and space. And in 21 also, the question was, examine the role of gig economy in the process of empowerment of the women in India. So women empowerment is a very important topic from the UPSC perspective, both from the paper GS paper 1, GS paper 2. Also the questions are being asked in GS paper 3 as well as in essay. So it becomes a very important topic for us. Now let's dwell into this topic. The first thing that we have is the International Women's Day. So it is celebrated on 8th March and its origin lies in the labor movement in early 20th century to advocate for the women's rights. This year's theme is, that is theme for the 2025 is, for all women and girls, rights, equality, empowerment. The last year's theme was invest in women, accelerate progress. So you have to remember this year's theme. The theme is for all women and girls, rights, equality and empowerment. Now, what is the objective of this International Women's Day? Why do we celebrate it? So the objective is to celebrate the achievements and contributions of the women. First of all, we are celebrating what are the contributions the women have done, what are the achievements of the women. Secondly, to raise awareness about gender equality and persisting challenges faced by the women. So it is basically two-pronged. First of all, we are celebrating the achievements. We are praising women that they have done a lot of work for the society. Secondly, we are also sensitizing the society about the challenges of gender equality and other challenges faced by the women. Now, next thing is that India is also having a National Women's Day. So there are two Women's Days. One is International Women's Day, that is celebrated on 8th March. And second one is the National Women's Day, that is celebrated on 13th February. Now the National Women's Day is celebrated to commemorate the birth anniversary of Sarojini Naidu. Sarojini Naidu, as you know, she was the first woman governor of United Province in the independent India. She has also been Indian National Congress President in the 1925 Kanpur session. So from modern history perspective, you should be knowing this thing. Now she was also a champion of women's rights and she was also a freedom fighter. Now objective was to recognize the diverse struggles and dreams of women, promoting gender equality and leadership. So that's why we celebrate the National Women's Day on 13th February. So you should be remembering both the things, the International Women's Day and the National Women's Day. Now coming back to the International Women's Day. International Women's Day, as we have discussed, it is celebrated on 8th March every year. Why it is celebrated? It is celebrated since 1995 because on this day in 1995, the Beijing Declaration was signed by 189 countries at the UN World Conference on Women in Beijing. And it is a culmination of the women's struggle against inequality and marginalization. This Beijing Declaration and Platform for Action is a very comprehensive global footprint which actually paves way for the women empowerment. If we look at the pillars of the Beijing Declaration, we have actually 12 pillars. These pillars are women and poverty. Second, educating and training women. Third, women and health. Then violence against women. Then women and armed conflict. Women and economy. Women in power and decision making, that is political empowerment. Institutional mechanism for advancement of the women, that is women empowerment through institutions. Then human rights of the women. Women and media, the role of media in women empowerment, in gender equality. Then women and environment, and lastly the girl child. the girl child in terms of early marriages or child marriages, in terms of female feticide. So these are the 12 components of the Beijing Declaration. These are the 12 pillars of the Beijing Declaration. And whatever initiatives we see globally as well as in terms of India, we see these are more or less around these pillars. Now, if we talk about India itself, what is the status of gender equality and status of women empowerment in India? So we have basically two sources, National Family Health Survey and Registrar General of India. Also, we are going to use NCRB data and the Lok Sabha data. The census of 2011 is actually quite old, and we are awaiting the new census for getting the new figure. So let's see what is the status of women empowerment in India. First of all, the sex ratio, the overall sex ratio. According to this NFHS, which was conducted in 2019-21, this NFHS 5, the sex ratio in India is 1020, that is 1020 females per 1000 males. And the sex ratio at birth, it is actually very less, it is 929 females per 1000 males. Next is the maternal mortality rate. Maternal mortality rate means that number of deaths per lakh of live births. So in India, we have 97 deaths per lakh live births. It is data from 2018-20. Next is malnutrition. So women in the age group of 15 to 49 years, 18.7% are underweight, 21.2% are shunted, and 53% are anemic. Yani half of the population of the women in India is anemic. They are having iron deficiency. The next is a female literacy rate. The female literacy rate is also very less in India. It is 70.3%. For male, it is 84.7%. Next is the child marriages. That is marriages between 20 to 24 years. So 23.3% of the married women are the marriages have been below 18 years. The next is a gender-based violence. Around 4 lakh cases are recorded in 2021, and there is underreported of the violence against the women because most of the cases are going unreported. Then last is a political participation. In terms of political participation, there are actually 3 layers. First is the local government layer, second is the state government layer, and third is the parliamentary. So at the local level, we are having 33% reservation, at least 33% reservation at the panchayats and the urban local bodies. So we are able to ensure that there is local participation of the women or local representation of the women. Anyways, it is actually nominal because the syndrome of Panchayat Pati syndrome, it is affecting our local self-governance and the women representation in it. Secondly, in terms of Lok Sabha, the representation of women is very less. It is around 13.6% in Lok Sabha. That is only 74 women MPs are there out of 545. So this is the representation of the political representation of women is very less in our country. Now next is the challenges to the gender equality in the country. In terms of challenges, we can divide it into 3 parts. First part is the social challenges. Second is the economical challenges, and third one is the political challenges. In terms of social challenges, the foremost is the discriminatory social norms. What do we mean by this? Discriminatory social norms means the behavior that a boy and a girl should observe are different. For example, a boy is expected that he should be masculine, he should be loud, he should not be suppressed, he should be able to tackle difficult things. Secondly, a girl is expected that she should be soft spoken, she should be calm, she should be quiet, she should not be arguing. So this is the first social challenges that we are having, and this is implicit. Somewhere or somehow we observe that the parents or the elder ones are actually pointing out when a girl child is not behaving in this manner. So this is the first social challenge that we are having, and it has a impact on the psychology and development of the girl child. Now next is the role stereotyping. Role stereotyping means that there have been some works that have been accorded to females and there are some works that have been accorded to the males. For example, all the household chores, they have to be done by the females. If even if the female is working, still she is expected that whatever cleaning has to be done in the house, the cooking part, they have to be done by the females only. So that is another social challenge that the women are facing. Next is the low literacy. In the rural areas and also in other urban areas, it is seen that the education of male child is preferred over that of the female. In the rural areas, the female education is more or less compromised one, whereas the male child is sent to the school. Secondly, in the urban areas, although male and female, both childs are going to the school, but still the quality of education that is given to the male child is better than that of the female. The male child will be sent to a better school rather than a female child. So that there is again the challenge of literacy in terms of the gender. Next is the safety concerns. Safety concerns in terms of domestic violence, in terms of violence at the workplace, sexual harassment at the workplace, female feticide, or at the public places. That is again a grave concern in terms of gender equality. Now, next is the economic challenges. In terms of economic challenges, the opportunities for the female are lesser than as compared to the males. Why it is so? Because it is seen that the females are going to take care of the child. They are going to take care of the household as well. So that's why it is preferred that the male labor is there as compared to the female labor. Second, there is the issue of glass ceiling also. There are some unset barriers which the females are not able to cross. For example, being a CEO of the company is a dream job for a female, and it becomes quite very impossible for them to reach to that position. Although in recent times we have seen that many female personalities have broken this glass ceiling, but more or less in the general sense the females do observe this problem of glass ceiling. Last one is the economic disparities that is observed, because the income levels that the female are being hired at and the males are being hired at, that they are actually different. More or less the income parity in terms of gender is not quite equitable. It is inequitable in the country. The remuneration that is being offered to female is less as compared to that of the male. So these are the economical challenges. Next one are the political challenges. Now, political challenges comes in the terms of that there is a low political representation of the females. If we see in the recent elections itself, the number of male candidates are far more than that of the female candidates, because it is seen that the female candidates will not be able to have outreach to the public and they have lesser winnability chances. Secondly, wherever we have ensured that there should be a female representation, for example at the local self-governance where we are having 33% of the seats reserved for the women, the representation is only nominal. Nominal representation means that for the namesake only they are being represented. All the work is being handled by their male counterparts or by their husbands. So there is a syndrome known as Sarpanchpati syndrome. So that culture is also prevalent in India. So these are the basic challenges, the social, economical and political challenges that are coming in way of the gender equality in the country. Now, to overcome these challenges, government has taken some initiatives. The initiatives are as follows. First and foremost, in terms of education. See, education is very important. Why? Because education makes you capable. So if we are focusing on education, we are actually making the females more capable. We are empowering them. So the first step in gender empowerment is educating them, is making them capable. Education in terms of literacy as well as in terms of skills also. So let's see what are the initiatives that the government is running. First and foremost, we are having Right to Free and Compulsory Education Act of 2009, which ensure accessible schooling for all children. See, the accessible schooling is a very important part, because in rural areas especially, the female child is not sent to the school. Why? Because the school is too far away from the home and it raises security concerns also. So the government through this act through RTE Act is ensuring that the education should be accessible, that it should be within a bounded area. Next is Beti Bachao Beti Padhao. This scheme was especially launched for for girl education and to improve child sex ratio. Next is Samag Shiksha Abhiyan. It focuses on infrastructure and girl-friendly facilities. Next is National Education Policy 2020 that has been recently released. Now, this policy prioritizes gender equity and inclusion in education. Next one is Ekalavya Model Residential School, which provide quality education for tribal girls, and with the impact of these, we are seeing that the gross female enrollment ratio is more than the male gross enrollment ratio as was seen in 2017-18. So there has been positive impact of the policies being run by the government in terms of education for the gender equality. Now, education makes you capable, but to utilize that capability, health is very important. Because if a person is sick, he or she will not be able to utilize the capability that he is having, the skill set that the person is having. So to ensure a better health for the woman, the government is running certain initiatives. The first one is Pradhan Mantri Matru Vandana Yojana. It will provide cash incentives for the pregnant and lactating mothers. Second is Jal Jeevan Mission, to ensure that the potable tap water is provided to the woman at the doorstep. It will help in removing the security concerns. Also, it will ensure that the women have more time to work upon other things rather than just procuring water. Because as I've told you, there are role stereotyping. The woman is going to procure the water in rural areas. So by this mission, the government is ensuring that in rural areas, the woman is the responsibility of procuring water is removed from the shoulders of the woman. The next thing is Swachh Bharat Abhiyan. It will improve sanitation and with the help of toilet construction. Again, it is going to help in removing the security concerns that the women were facing. Secondly, it will also help in improving the women's health, because clean sanitation facilities will be provided and they will be able to prevent themselves from certain diseases like UTI. Next is Poshan Abhiyan. Through the Poshan Abhiyan, it is going to strengthen maternal and child nutrition, and there will be certain programs that will be run in this regard. Now, next comes the economic empowerment and financial inclusion. For this, the government is focusing upon making women more capable in terms of skill as well as in terms of entrepreneurship. The foremost program here is Stand Up India scheme. Bank loans for women entrepreneurs, especially from ST, SC and minority communities, will be provided. Next is Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana. In this, the financial inclusion of the women will be focused upon. Next is STEP, support to training and employment program for the women. Skill training and self-employment and entrepreneurship will be focused under this program. Next is Mahila E-Heart. This is an online platform. Just remember E-Heart. So it is an online platform for women entrepreneurs. Then women working hostels are there to provide accommodation and childcare facilities, and Mahila Shakti Kendras are there for empowering rural women through community participation. So these are the programs being run for the economic empowerment and financial inclusion. The next is safety and protection. It is also very important, because a female is more or less not allowed to go out due to these safety and protection related concerns. For example, a girl going out at night is prone to the safety concerns or safety challenges. Now, for this, there have been a Criminal Law Amendment Act of 2018 which have enhanced the penalties for crime against the woman. There is Protection of Women from Domestic Violence Act of 2005 which provides legal safeguards against domestic violence. Then there is Sexual Harassment of Women at Workplace Act of 2013 which is based on the Vishaka guidelines. It protects women at workplaces. Then POSCO Act is there. Then there is ban on triple talaq also. Then Dowry Prohibition Act of 1961. Then Prohibition of Child Marriages Act of 2006 and Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita recently enacted in 2023. It also strengthens the gender justice provisions. So through these provisions, the government is trying to ensure gender equality in the country and for the women empowerment. Now lastly, let's see what are the global initiatives in this regard. The first one is Global Gender Gap Report. It is released by World Economic Forum and it assesses the gender parity on basis on 4 pillars. The first one is economic participation, second is education, third one is health, and lastly political empowerment. Second is Gender Inequality Index. It is released by UNDP and it measures gender disparity in terms of reproductive health, empowerment, and labor market participation. So you have to focus upon what are the various pillars on basis of which these indexes are being made. These two are important ones. So in terms of World Economic Forum, there are 4 indicators: economic participation, education, health, and political empowerment. In terms of Gender Inequality Index, we have the parameters as reproductive health, empowerment, and labor market participation. Next is Social Institution and Gender Index. It is released by OECD and it evaluates discrimination on the basis of social institution laws and norms affecting gender parity or gender equality. Next one is Women, Peace and Security Index. It is released by GIWPS and PRIO and it analyzes women inclusion, justice and security in different countries. And lastly, we have Gender Parity Index. It is released by UNESCO. So this again becomes important. Global Gender Gap Report, Gender Inequality Index and Gender Parity Index. These are the 3 important ones that you should be remembering. At least you should be remembering these ones. Then it compares female to male access to education at different levels. So these are the major global initiatives that we have covered here. Now you are in a position to attempt a mains question based upon the previous discussion. So that is visible on your screen. Please write the answers and post in the comment box. So with this, we conclude our discussion for the day. We hope it would have been helpful for you. Thank you very much.